This is George Lopez? Not. This is Dead Channel Duo Podcast, episode number 77? Do you not know where that's from?
No.
Oh. That was my first ever intro to my first ever YouTube video.
Oh, that's what that's from. Okay.
From like
I remember
11
that.
years ago.
Yeah, that's the Airsoft channel that...
And I sound like a 12-year-old that smoked like 1,000 packs of cigs.
You definitely did. You didn't sound like you were 12.
It's episode 78, sorry. I said 77. That was last week. That
Okay,
episode performed
episodes-
really good, so...
Really? Did it? Not really?
Yeah, sure, fine, great.
Yeah, so, when you talk about how episodes perform, I don't know about you, Andy, but I generally look at just the audio downloads because the YouTube views, they kind of stay about the same. They kind of always have throughout the lifetime
Not
of the
this
show.
week.
But the audio downloads have been about, they've been very up and down, up and down, up
Yeah.
and down.
I don't
So
know.
I'm assuming the YouTube views are way down.
It tanked.
It tanked?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Has 9 views right now.
We can't get... I swear, we couldn't catch a break. And if... Oh, man, if we didn't have bad luck, we'd have no luck at all. I swear. Like, this show, like, the last 3 months, I've told people, like, it's been rough, man. Like,
I mean, I don't care. I do it for the fun.
Sure. There comes a point, though, Andy.
Alex, if
Where
I
you
wasn't doing it for the fun, we would have quit a long time ago.
Okay, but for me, someone who's the eternal optimist, there does come a point where you're like, who am I really doing this for?
Sphinx. It's the only reason I do the podcast, actually.
He's the only listener, I think. I don't know, man. I think like we have our Patreon listeners and we have maybe 2 or 3 other people and that's it. Because
Brian.
like the number... Yeah, Brian.
If he doesn't listen to us and he supports us on Twitter that much, there's
Yeah,
no way
I
he doesn't
know.
listen.
What if he didn't? He's like, I listen, I feel bad for him. I just suggest that other people listen to him, but I really don't listen to it myself. I don't know, man. Like, but I guess what's somewhat encouraging to me is the fact that I've heard podcast downloads are down across the board.
I don't know.
So take that for what you will. I don't know. Anyway, the DCD 78, where we complain about listener
My
downloads.
highlights of the week. PKA turned 10 years old this past week. And that blew
That's
my
kinda
mind.
crazy.
I've been listening to that podcast for 8 years. And
Yeah.
it blew my mind every Saturday. So shout out to PKA.
It's a good podcast. I wish they were on audio only distribution, but
They are.
they're not. No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're
Hey.
not on iTunes. I looked it up.
They're on Spotify.
Oh, they're on Spotify.
I know that for a fact.
Somebody must be taking their stuff and re-uploading it because
No, they talk about it. They even mentioned on this episode that the Spotify, it comes out like a week late. And
That's
then
weird.
they mentioned on the episode that they're coming out closer.
Huh, I wonder why. I wonder why they're
And
not
they
on
get-
iTunes.
They get
I wonder why
2/3 of
they're
their
not
views on Spotify. They mentioned on the
don't know.
show.
I guess it works for them. They might have some exclusivity deal or some kind of monetary reason for doing that. So
They might be on
Good for
Podbean
them.
too.
Podbean. Yeah, we have all kinds of like really crazy destinations that we're on right now. Like we are such destination whores. It's not funny. You can listen to us on Facebook. You can listen to us if you have any kind of RSS podcatcher. We're on Apple Podcasts,
Our
TuneIn
website.
Radio, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube,
Our website.
and Radio Public. Our website, deadchannelduo.com, youtube.com. You can listen to us all kinds of places.
Yeah.
We're on locations that aren't even on deadchannelduo.com. I didn't know this, but there's like a bunch of other places.
We're on locations that
That
don't
just-
track stats. So we really don't know if an episode tanks or not.
Spotify Spotify stats are totally.
Is it still at 0?
They don't,
Because I know for a fact I know someone who listens to us on Spotify.
so they don't like, so for example, and this is kind of what's frustrating as a podcaster, and I've heard other people who are in similar, probably better situations than us. Right now, it tells me, as I log into Libsyn right now, it says that our all-time listeners on Spotify for the lifetime of the show is 5 unique downloads of any episode ever. It says that somebody's listened to episode 43 once, 35 once, 16 twice, and 15 once.
Yeah.
And I know that's wrong. And you know how I know it's wrong is because probably about once a month or so, I'll go on Spotify and I'll just make sure that our episodes are publishing like they should, right? And I'll click on it, just to make sure that it sounds right and all that. So I should be showing up here. I've certainly checked since episode 43. But I mean, it's just the everything. It even says right here, the main stats now include Spotify data are separate and they will no longer update. So I don't know.
What have you been watching us playing, Alex?
This week, I've been playing Animal Crossing, and a little bit of World of Warcraft. I've gotten completely obsessed with Animal Crossing. And then as far as watching this week, I've watched a lot of Big Bang Theory with my wife. We're about halfway through the whole series at this point. So we've been watching quite a bit. And then we've also we've also watched a few movies that I can't think of at the moment, and I've been watching the regular weekly shows, Star Wars Clone Wars, which, by the way, the last season of Star Wars Clone Wars is getting really good. What's the other one? Shark Tank, The Prophet. That's about it. And then this week's Film Club selection, Brokeback Mountain. Andy, what have you been watching and playing this week?
I watched The Graduate.
Okay.
The Big Kahuna. I watched a Taiwanese gangster movie called 69. I watched Chris D'Elia's new podcast special. I watched Criminal Minds. And I've determined that Criminal Minds is the most 3-head show ever. It's so stupid. And that's it. Before we get into our next topic, I have to fix...
Criminal Minds, by the way?
Yeah.
So my wife... So here's a fun story. My mom is super into Criminal Minds. Mom, if you're out there listening, I love you. You're awesome. Please stay safe. But Criminal Minds is one of her favorite shows. She loves all those procedural crime drama type things. One of her favorite shows ever is Bones, to give you an example. And that Bones is a great show, by the way.
Yeah.
But Criminal Minds is another one that she really got into for a while. I don't know if she still watches it. I think it's still on the air.
Yeah.
But my wife was like, yeah, somebody at work was telling me I should watch this. And I was like, okay, cool. I haven't watched it in forever. So let's give it a shot, Ashley. Let's see how you like it. And I think we watched pretty much about the whole first season. And I gotta say, upon watching it the second time, I agree with you. It's definitely the most 3-part show.
3-head.
Yeah, 3-head. Okay.
You know what that means? It's a meme.
Oh, I thought you meant a very formulaic.
Oh, it is.
3-part
3-head,
Shakespearean.
You have a 4-head, all right? There's a meme going around. 5-head, you're big smart. 3-head, you're stupid.
Okay.
To explain the meme to you, boomer.
Okay, so then I totally misunderstood it. When you said 3-head, I thought you meant 3-part story arc, classic Shakespearean story.
It's very formulaic. It's very stupid. Each episode doesn't there's stuff that there's good storytelling, like season-long storytelling that they forget about. I've
Hmm.
seen like most of the show back in the past, and I guess I never picked up on it. It just
Yeah.
looking at it with my eyes now, being a cynical prick, not good.
It is a little bit formulaic, and I think that it's like to me, it always kind of reminded me of a campier version of NCIS, because NCIS does the same thing. Like, there's the rugged leader who doesn't take any nonsense from anybody, and then there's like one of his top investigators who's kind of snarky, but he's good enough because that's why they keep him around. And then there's the really weird person who's really like uh campy and kind of, out of the box, and that's Abby, and she's gothic, and she's hot, but she's also kind of snarky. And like, Criminal Minds definitely takes that to another level, where it's like there's the no nonsense guy, there's the guy who like answers to the no nonsense guy, but he's kind of snarky, and then there's like the super genius who's kind of weird and he thinks outside of the box, but he's funny. And then they've got the really snarky lady who sits in a room with 21 monitors and answers the phone and has all the information. It's like, I don't know, it's like very formulaic. It's
Enhance.
all those shows, like the procedural crime shows, like I feel like they kind of all play into that trope. CSI definitely does.
So,
They have like a
Alex,
billion different CSIs.
a topic, uh, genre, I guess, that we haven't
Mhm.
mentioned in forever.
Yeah,
Oops, I made a mistake in the last
here's a
episode.
correction.
We haven't
Okay.
done one of these in forever. I'm fixing my WWE Mount Rushmore. My Mount Rushmore was the Dudley Boys, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Mick Foley. I'm
Okay.
taking the Dudley Boys out, putting them in their own separate tag Rushmore,
Okay.
and I'm filling that hole with Dusty Rhodes.
It's a good pick. It's a good correction. I wouldn't even tell you that you were wrong originally for saying that. I feel like tag teams are separate. If we're talking about like wrestling in general, I feel like tag teams have to be separate, even though they could be just as
Which, yeah,
impactful
brings us to our first
as a
topic.
singles wrestler. Yeah.
Tag Team Rushmore, Alex. Your tag team Mount Rushmore. Mine, to save time while you think.
Okay.
The Dudley Boys, as previously said. The Hardy Boys. The Road Warriors. And DX, more specifically, New Age Outlaws.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And this one I feel like is very
And Too Cool.
hard.
A tier above all of them. Giant Too Cool statue above the Mount Rushmore. About like right above Mount Rushmore, just giant Too Cool.
So it's funny you say Too Cool, and I know that it's like a tag team that you like, right? And you hold them in very high regard, even though most people don't. I have one of those too. Before I get into my Mount Rushmore, it's from the WCW era, the American Males. I always loved the American Males tag team,
Yeah.
the gimmick, everything, the theme song, American Males, American Males.
I mean, I have
With that
another
really
one like
nasally pitch. I love it. Yeah.
that. Paul
So
London and Brian Kendrick. I really like them.
that's a good one. That's another really good tag team that probably didn't last as very long. Well, let's just say that it didn't last as long as it probably should have, because they were good. They were really good together.
And then
But the
by Paul
Brian
London.
Kendrick is great with anybody,
But
honestly.
they booted Paul London.
Yeah, and then they eventually got rid of Brian Kendrick, and then they even when they brought the Brian Kendrick back, he didn't last very long, even though he put on some great matches. So mine, American Males aside, I can't put them in my Mount Rushmore. Mine is probably a little bit more boring than Andy's, and it's a little bit more Southern based. So my first one is going to be what I consider to be the best tag team of all time, and that's the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, you have to put them on there, in my opinion. They're from the territory days. If you're going to put Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair in your Mount Rushmore of singles wrestlers, I think you have to put the Rock and Roll Express in there, but they are in mine. Second, I'm going to put the Hardy Boys. I think the Hardy Boys have pretty much done everything there is to do in pro wrestling. They've been singles competitors. They've both been world's champions. They've obviously
They've
won.
revolutionized the pro wrestling.
They've done so much. I feel like they've added. I feel like they are their own generation's Rock and Roll Express. They've done everything there is to do as a tag team, and then they took that a step further, and they've done some things that were outside of the box and things that people will never forget. I mean, there's some really great Rock and Roll Express matches, like the scaffold matches that were kind of revolutionary in the day that they did, that people still bring up to this day.
Hardy Boys invented TLC.
They were a part of it, along with the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. So and it's hard to exclude those other two teams, but I got to go Hardy Boys above all else, and then putting in the Harlem Heat. There was not a better WCW tag team than the Harlem Heat. And what was what? No, go ahead.
Ahmed Johnson just so bad.
Ahmed Johnson was part of Harlem Heat for like 6 months.
That's the Harlem Heat that I'm thinking of.
Oh no, I'm thinking Stevie Ray and Booker T, and they are legitimate.
I think of Booker T and Ahmed Johnson. Ahmed Johnson sucks.
He does stink. And by the way, Booker T never teamed up with Ahmed Johnson. He teamed up with Stevie Ray as part of the new Harlem Heat. I'm talking about the Harlem Heat that dominated WCW for over a decade. Stevie Ray, Booker T, legitimate brothers. Booker T obviously went on to have an amazing singles career in WCW and later WWE. So I got to put them in there. And then if I have to pick, oh God, I only have one more. It's so hard. I want to throw in the Four Horsemen stable, but I feel like that's cheating. Fourth team. Who do I throw in? You know what? I think it has to be the Dudley Boys. And here's why. I might reconsider this later on and regret saying them, but good God, they had a great ECW run, and then they had an amazing WWE run, and then they came back again and had another great
Impact
WWE run and another Impact run. So yeah, Dudley Boys. I hate to go too heavy on that Attitude Era, but
mine is almost exclusively 90s, because you could argue Road Warriors were also in the 90s.
Road Warriors, I put them in there. Here's why I don't put the Road Warriors in. They stunk at storytelling because they would never let anyone beat them. To be a great wrestling whether a tag team or a singles wrestler, you kind of have to be willing to lose for the story to create a great story arc. And the Road Warriors were like these wannabe tough guys that I love them, and they had great work in the ring, but they would fight tooth and nail and never lose to anyone. And it was hard to tell good stories with that.
That's how Public Enemy was.
Public Enemy, I loved Public Enemy.
There was a
but they were idiots.
Whenever Public Enemy is leaving ECW, they're trying to push the Dudley Boys, and they wouldn't Dudley Boys would get the tables, 3D and all that, and then they would get up and talk trash and basically ruin their whole gimmick. So, Bubba Ray was friends with the Acolytes, and he told them, and in Public Enemy's debut in the WWE, the Acolytes beat the crap out of him. Legit, not
No, I know that story, and I know what you're talking about, and it's totally true. And Public Enemy was guilty of that in WCW. I mean, they would no sell everyone, the Nasty Boys. They would no sell them, and it stunk because Public Enemy was a great tag team that had a lot of potential. And I think Johnny Grunge was more willing to sell for other people, but Rocco Rock was very unwilling to sell for anyone. And it made telling great stories with that tag team harder, and
Yeah.
therefore eventually you just find yourself on the outside
I don't
looking
know.
in.
What's going for the
And I
Road
feel
Warriors
like
for
that,
me? Sorry,
yeah.
is
But
their
I like the Road
their
Warriors
presence
because
in Japan also to be factored in.
definitely you cannot take anything away. They were mega over in Japan.
All right, going to the listener questions. Continue WWE talk.
Mm-hmm.
Question coming from Ruben Jim. WWE and 2K announced that WWE 2K21 will not be coming out this year, and then
Mm-hmm.
later, I'm adding this. It wasn't part of the question. WWE 2K Battlegrounds is announced to come out later this year.
All right.
Alexander.
How do you feel about that, Andy?
Well, 2K has been awful with the games. I don't care that they canceled the game this year. I don't think they canceled it for Battlegrounds. I think it was just coincidental.
Okay.
But with Battlegrounds, it could be fun, like a WWE All Stars 2. But I'm putting no faith in it because it's made by 2K. And also, in the trailer, The Rock and Cena look so great. All right, their character models, they look just like WWE All Stars. But then Charlotte and Becky look awful. Their character models are so bad. Like, you look at The Rock and John Cena have these great character models, and then the women in the game just look completely terrible. So it's probably going to be bad.
Oh my goodness, they do look
Yeah.
terrible. Why do they look like they they look like troll dolls? I
Yeah.
don't know what to.
Like, The Rock and John Cena look great. And then Charlotte and Becky, it looks like a
Ew.
completely different game.
Ugh. Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be... I just have no faith in 2K at this point anymore.
I'm reading this article on it a little bit more in depth, and I guess it gives me further insight into what the problem is. So, let's start here. So, first, Bobby, thanks for the question. I really appreciate it because God knows we need questions in today's environment. But I have some serious problems with WWE 2K20. I mean, I think that it's a
Yeah.
disservice to wrestling fans because here in the United States, it's pretty much the only choice you have for a mainstream wrestling game. And I feel like they really let fans down. And if you are maybe like most American wrestling fans, you're WWE centric in terms of your wrestling fandom, this is the only game to you, 2K20.
Yeah.
And, you know, this year's game was a disaster. I didn't know this, though. This article says that Visual Concepts took over the franchise this year for developer Ukes, who Ukes has been working on
Yeah.
WWE games since like PlayStation 1 era.
Since
So
SmackDown.
exactly,
Like,
yeah.
SmackDown,
So
just SmackDown.
yeah, just WWE SmackDown on
And
the
SmackDown 2, just bring it.
on the PlayStation 1, which were both terrific games.
Yeah.
And I feel like it really showed this year that they switched developers, and I hope that Visual Concepts can figure it out because Visual Concepts is, from how I remember it, a pretty good developer. I mean, they pioneered the early days of the NBA 2K franchise, so I mean, I don't know, they had it in them at some point, but Um, Overall, 2K21 getting canceled or postponed, or maybe they're skipping a year. I guess that's a good thing, because I don't want a 2K21 that's going to be really bad and reminiscent of 2K20 in terms of the bugs, the glitches, the game breaking bugs. I want them to give us something that's good. So if they have to take a year away from it to give us a better product, I think that's a good thing. And then in the meantime, maybe they can continue to patch 2K20 and make it more playable. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. I just think that right now it's kind of a dark time for wrestling games if you're into the sim style wrestling games. Um, so that to me, all I can say about that is it's just disappointing to see 2K21 canceled or postponed to 2K22. And then as far as this new game, it appears that it's developed by a different developer under the 2K license, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm not against it. It looks like it'll be fun. If it's anything like, I mean, you mentioned WWE All Stars. That's the first thing that came to mind to me, because it's like the last arcade style WWE game, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play
Great
it.
game.
Yeah, it was fun to pick up and play with friends for a little bit, and then
Had a
that
great
was
story
pretty much
mode.
it. I didn't know that they had a story
They
mode
had
in
like
that,
four
but
story modes. You had like a tag team one. You had like an Undertaker story mode. I think a Hulk Hogan story mode, and then John
oh,
Cena. No, the tag team one is DX. There's an Undertaker one. And I think Hulk Hogan and John Cena, something like that. Something like that. I know for a fact DX and Undertaker had one.
yeah. I mean, I would probably be more receptive to buying this than I would be WWE 2K21 without 2K21 showing me that it wasn't a glitch fest like 2K20. I I'll probably end up picking this up,
It's made by the
man.
people that did the NBA Battlegrounds or Battlegrounds NBA Playground
And
games.
they did a great job with both of those games. So I think it could be really good. The player models look a little bit goofy, but
It's
you know, they can iron that out. And all of that aside, I don't even care what the player models really look like, because I care more about the gameplay. So if it's fun and something I can pick up and play with my friends, I think it could be really good. And it would be a good thing to kind of hold WWE fans over until 2K22, I guess.
they also made
But
a Halo Master Chief Collection. Worked on
oh, did they?
it. Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's a good thing to have on your resume.
but they also made the Shaq Fu remake.
So that was better than the original, if that makes sense. Like, it was a good
They have such
game
a
that was
weird
based on a really
catalog.
bad game.
They ma- their
Yeah,
second game was Time Shift. If you remember that, Jim.
I like Time Shift.
Uh, they made Quake Champions.
I like Quick
They
Champions.
made the World War Z game. That's uh, kind of popular. I want to say it's big popular.
It's pretty popular.
They made the console version of Killing Floor 2.
Okay.
It's just like a weird catalog.
Okay, so I'll tell you right now, I played Quake Champion. Good. It's better than most people give it credit for. And then that first game you mentioned that I can't think of right
Time
now.
Shift.
Time Shift was better than people really gave it credit for. It was a good game. Did you play it?
It made me motion sick.
Oh, okay. Fair
All right,
enough.
next topic. Another listener question from Ruben Jim. Matt Breida trade to the Dolphins, and I'll take it away because I assume it's aimed at me. Yeah, Matt Breida traded for a 5th round pick. Then we drafted an offensive lineman. It was a trade you had to get done, save cap. He was our third string running back, potential fourth string running back going into the season. He is a
Yeah,
great running back.
he is good.
But it was just he got outplayed by Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman at the end of the year. And then also Jerick McKinnon's coming back. Jeff Wilson Jr. had a good season last year and is a very limited role. You just gotta get rid of him.
Do you think he helps the Dolphins?
Yeah, he's starting running back day one.
Yeah. See, I kind of land in the same area.
It's a
I
great
like
move for both teams.
I like Matt Breida a lot, dude.
He's really good.
He's good running the football. He's probably a little bit better running outside the tackles than inside, but he could do both. And he's a very good pass catcher out of the backfield who can turn. He's one of those players where he could take a little dump off pass and turn it into a big play, a big chunk yardage play.
First play against the Browns, 80-yard touchdown, where he juked three guys out.
Yeah, he's got some great open field moves. He was a little bit slowed down by injuries last year, from what I remember, and I feel like they kind of hurt his mobility on the field, and I think that kind of led to a down year for him. But if I'm the Dolphins, you got a really good running back, which honestly I think the Dolphins needed. And they got one for a 5th round pick, which I'll be honest, probably weren't going to get a good running back this good in the 5th round isn't there. So I think it's a great trade for the Dolphins. I think it's a really good trade for the 49ers. They were a little bit overloaded at that position.
Yeah.
But a good one for both teams. It's one of those few trades in the NFL where you'll say nobody really got.
I mean, you look at the grand scheme of things to praise my 49ers. They turn an undrafted free agent into a 5th round pick.
John Lynch.
And 5th round picks is where that's our sweet spot.
There you go. So yeah, it'll be good, and I think in the positive side of it is he seems very excited to play for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
From looking at his Twitter profile, I think it'll be a good fresh start for him. Not that he had a bad time in San Francisco or
I mean, he
team treated him poorly.
Tweeted like, "We're still family, everybody."
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's any ill will from the 49ers or from Matt Breida, but I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of, get a fresh start and have a new chapter of his career. And at the same time, he's probably very thankful for his time with the 49ers. I know I would be. So, good trade all around.
All right, Alex. Moving to our first big topic in forever. On episode number 27, we did our all-time NFL teams in which I took defense, and I picked my all-time defense. Alex picked his all-time offense. And now in episode 78, we're flipping the script, and I'm picking my all-time offense. Alex picking his all-time defense. So, you want to go first, Alex, or?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, I want to preface this by saying that I am picking a team that is a 4-3 scheme. And, that's pretty notable to mention, mainly for the defensive line and linebackers, obviously. So, first, on the edges, right end, left end, I got Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White. I really don't think there's much to say about those two picks. I mean, I think they're probably, in most people's minds, you would probably put those two guys as your top 2 edge rushers all time. In the middle, at the 2 defensive tackle spots, I got Aaron Donald. I know he hasn't even finished his career yet, but I feel very confident putting him there. And Warren Sapp. In the linebacker slots, my outside linebackers, I got Junior Seau and Derek Brooks.
How to put him on there?
And then, In the middle, I got Brian Urlacher. Almost went with Ray Lewis there, but going with Brian Urlacher. Cornerback, this was tough. The first one, it's got to be Deion Sanders. I mean, you have to go with Deion. The second one, it was tough. I thought about Rod Woodson here. I thought about a couple other great players, Night Train Lane even. Champ Bailey is my second cornerback. At the safety positions, I got Steve Atwater, John Lynch, and then punt returner, because that's special teams / defense. I got Darren Sproles.
Yeah, you did the same thing last time. So I didn't do it last time, but I also put a flex spot on my team.
Yeah.
So for my offense, first your defense, I would say I would disagree at some spots, but it's not like you didn't pick. It's not like you didn't pick all-time greats, If that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense.
But mine, I picked a team that I went with more favorites than all-time. Kind of. They're still great players. So I went with more players that I've seen with my own eyeballs play the game of football. So I quarterback, the greatest quarterback I've ever seen play the sport, Russell Wilson. He amazes me every time I watch him. He turns plays that you think are dead into touchdowns. He's insane. At running back, I have Adrian Peterson. I think there's no arguments there.
That's a good pick. I mean, a guy that rushed for 2,000 yards. Yeah.
Off an ACL tear.
I don't know how he came back from that the way he did, but good on him.
At fullback, I have Jeff Kuhn.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect you to pick a fullback.
I have 13 picks, by the way.
Yeah.
To throw a fullback in there. Wide receiver, I have on the outside Calvin Johnson and Julio. And then the slot, Larry Fitz.
That blows my mind that you don't have Jerry Rice.
I told you, quote, I'm picking players I saw with my own eyeballs.
But you had to have seen Jerry Rice.
He retired when I was 3.
I know, but old 49er games.
I'm just saying, the players I've seen.
Oh, okay.
You can't understand someone's dominance unless you live through their time actually playing.
True enough.
Like, I don't know. I don't know a great example for that, but tight end, greatest tight end to ever play the sport. Best tight end in the league right now. George Kittle.
I mean, I'm gonna disagree and say Tony Gonzalez, but
yeah, my offensive line, there is players.
But we don't know. George Kittle could have a better career. I don't know. No. I don't know what George Kittle career is going to look like by the end of it.
I start to diverge at some points in the offensive line, but with the old eyeballs part,
it's hard picking O-line, by the way.
Left tackle, Joe Thomas.
Good pick.
Left guard, I have never seen him play, but had to pick him, Larry Allen.
You have to go Larry.
Center, I found to be the most difficult position to pick. So I threw Jeff Saturday in there.
That's not a bad pick. That's a really good one because he had a lot of really good years. And center's a position that's really quiet. You don't hear a lot of people talking about how great a center is, but Jeff Saturday is a good one.
Right guard is Marshall Yanda. Right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz.
Good pick.
And then my flex / special teams is Tyreek Hill.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Only thing I would critique is at right tackle. I just don't know how you don't say Dan Dierdorf, but
I didn't see him with my eyeballs, Alex.
I know you didn't. I just, Kittle at tight end, like I said, I would say Tony Gonzalez, and I think that's what I said when I had to pick offense. But, we don't know what Kittle's career is going to look like, and thus far he is off the
He had
charts.
the highest PFF rating amongst any position in PFF history. They've been
He,
tracking since
he's
I think '88.
he's off the charts. If he stays healthy, he's going to have some serious stats by the end of his career. And you know, I don't know that I would even have Calvin Johnson on my team as wide receiver, because I feel like I'd probably go Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, and
You did go Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens,
yeah, and
and you picked Peyton Manning at quarterback.
you can't go wrong with
I think
Manning.
you went Peyton Manning, Emmitt Smith, Jeff Kuhn, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Tony G. You had Larry Fitz in the slot. I don't remember your offensive line. And then
Yeah,
Darren
Larry
Sproles.
Fitz, you got to have. So Fitz, like,
Far and beyond the best slot receiver.
and what's crazy about it is Fitz could play on the outside too, because he did at the beginning of his career, and he even does to this day still. He only moved to the slot position primarily in the last couple years, and he did that to prolong his career. And
Yeah. Also,
I
great
mean,
run blocker.
if you put a prime Larry Fitzgerald in the slot, he'd eat people alive. I mean, it's crazy how good his career is. And if you don't believe how good Larry Fitz is, go on Google and just type in all-time wide receiver stats,
Yeah.
and you'll see Larry Fitzgerald sneakily is in that top 10 on almost everything. So I think Andy's team's pretty good.
Look up Larry Fitz versus the Packers in the playoffs. I forgot what year that is.
Yeah, he's good, man. I mean, and then like to take it a step further, look at his college career. He had a great college career too. So I don't know. Great wide receiver, probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, but probably
Yeah.
won't get remembered as one of the greats like he should, because he played on a lot of really bad Arizona Cardinals teams.
He made
But
the
he went to the
Super
Super Bowl once. Yeah. I know, right? Oh, goodness. Those teams were so bad for so long. Stinks.
DCD Film Club.
Oh, yeah.
This week is Alex's pick. Brokeback Mountain from 2005, directed by Ang Lee, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger. Alexander. You want me to take it away? All right.
It's your first time seeing it, right?
Yep. So,
Yeah, there you go. You take it away.
I thought it was an interesting movie going into it because I've never seen this before. It was a movie that has been memed throughout my life, and especially in middle school, because it's the gay movie.
Yeah.
And it's also a romance movie, which those don't particularly attract to young Andy to watch. So going into it, I have a long history with this movie, just being memed. Let's see, I lost my point. I would like to mention that also, by the way, it came out in 2005, which was an awful year for movies. Just throwing that out there. I noticed that whenever I was doing research.
Yeah.
I noticed. Sorry, I think the cast is great. I like Heath Ledger, Michelle Williams, Anne Hathaway, Randy Quaid, Linda Cardellini, Anna Faris is in it. A pre Stranger Things David Harbour.
Oh, wow.
Kate Mara's in it. There's a fantastic cast, and that is pretty much the only positive I can say towards this movie.
Oh, my goodness.
I believe this movie may be better if I've ever experienced a serious girlfriend or gone through a serious heartbreak. So coming from that, as someone that's never experienced that, I think this movie is just trying to bait emotion. The three main emotions of a movie is they're trying to make you laugh, trying to scare you, or trying to make you cry. And trying to make someone cry is the easiest of the three to do. Like, bad movies can get you to cry. It's really easy to do. When it's difficult to make someone laugh, it's difficult to make someone scared. So I thought I was just trying to bait emotion. I thought the cinematography was now don't go oh god before let me finish the sentence. I thought the cinematography was lackluster for I thought it was lackluster for the gorgeous location, aka it's not that it was bad, it was they could have done so much more with this mountain. And whenever they weren't on the mountain, cinematography was pretty bland and simple. So it's not like it was they could have done more with it than they did. I literally don't remember the score or music in this movie at all. I just don't. The acting is great. That's what you get with a star-studded cast. I felt like this movie is overrated because it's a romance movie about two gay guys. It's the first gay movie I could think of besides But I'm a Cheerleader from 1999. I felt like the story is pretty bare bones and just like cookie cutter. And I found this movie extremely boring and kind of hard to sit through. I can see why people enjoy the movie, but it doesn't really work for me. Maybe if I picked it, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Lol.
Okay, so first off, I give up on this segment. Like I really do. I give up on this segment. Everything I pick sucks, and it's just universally panned. And I think Dick Figures the movie is really going to get picked next, but I disagree with almost everything you said unilaterally. So first off, yes, the cast is great. It's amazing casting because every single actor or actress in this movie probably gives one of their better performances of their career. So first off, it's based off of a short story from Annie Proulx. Annie Proulx is a massively accomplished author, one of the more brilliant modern American authors, I should say, of period in American literature, specifically American modern literature. So the credentials are there. It's directed brilliantly. It's shot brilliantly. I'll disagree with Annie. I think the cinematography was great.
You didn't
given
listen
the
to my sentence
location.
again.
No, I get what you said. You said it could have been better given the location that they had to work with. I don't feel that way. I feel like everything was shot great. There's a lot of memorable shots. It's good. I'm not going to sit here and criticize it, and I'm not going to agree with criticisms surrounding the cinematography. The score was great. It's persistent throughout the film. It's memorable. I don't know how you really didn't come away with remembering it or thinking it was good, but opinions will differ. I'm not going to criticize you personally for it or anything. I feel like this is Heath Ledger's best performance of his career, period. That's saying a lot. I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal's best acting performance of his career, period. That's saying a lot. It's definitely Anne Hathaway's best performance of her career, and that's saying a lot. These are all actors and actresses that have had tremendous careers.
Michelle Williams, just gonna leave her out.
Michelle Williams, okay, throw her in there too. I just think that overall it's acted brilliantly. It's done really well. It's a great treatment of a short story. It's a great Okay, so it was a short story that was turned into a screenplay that was put on the big screen. There aren't many of those that work out well, but they managed to take all the meat and potatoes from the short story, turn it into a great screenplay, turn it into a great film that's memorable, that people to this day still talk about. And you talk about the memes and all the jokes, and that's fine. You want to make fun of it, that's fine. You want to have memes about it, that's cool. That just proves that it's relevant, and it still is. And
I'm not
it
saying
always
it's meme today. Middle school me.
Well, I'm talking about I still see people posting memes about this every so often.
It was
Oh my goodness.
nominated for Best Picture, and it was a gay movie. People meme that.
Fair enough. My point is critically acclaimed, did well at the box office, tremendous writing, great cinematography, great acting performances, a story that really tells something about our society. It holds a mirror up to society. It talks about how sometimes in life you can't get what you want. You want to go a little bit deeper. You want to drill down to the sexuality portion of it. It talks about how homosexual relationships in this country were not accepted, really. If we weren't really get honest about it, they really weren't accepted until the 2000s. And really on a grander scale, they weren't truly accepted and truly embraced, uh, for lack of a better term, until the end of the 2000s, the early 2010s. It says something about society and homophobia. Is there? Am I going to say there isn't some kind of an agenda behind this kind of writing? Of course there is. It has something to do with that. So I know some of my more conservative friends would say this is a movie that's loaded with agendas and all that, trying to tell you that society is harsher on homosexuality than it should be. Probably true to some extent, but there's a lot of truth in this movie and the writing, and it feels real, and it feels like a story that could really have happened. And I think it's brilliant. And I can't stand that every time I pick something on here, it just gets completely, we just take a crap on it, and it's just annoying. Because, and I don't know what's going on. My other monitor turned on for some minute for some reason. But anyway, like overall, um, I think it's as close as you can get to a I don't know, man, like a perfect drama movie. It's really good. And I think unfortunately because of, and it's not even a fault of the people who do memes, because people that do memes are just looking for a laugh, right? But I think sometimes that kind of takes away from the artistic nature of a film like this. Um, so that would be my only criticism of the people that make memes about it. But hey, have fun and have your jokes, because it's important to laugh, especially in times like this. Overall, I like I said, I can't find anything to complain about in this. Overall, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I'd recommend anybody watching this, um, go watch this film if you haven't already. And furthermore, if you like the film, read Annie Proulx's books. She's a brilliant author, and it created this amazing film. So, Andy, what was your rating out of 10? Probably a 5.
5 out of 10, close to a 6 and a
There we
4.
go. Well, there we go.
It's higher than Midnight Cowboy in my rankings. That makes you feel better.
Makes me feel worse. I hate this segment.
You act like I don't like any movies. 2001: Space Odyssey, Alien.
Oh my god, that's the only one.
Apocalypse
Alien. You didn't even really like Apocalypse Now.
I give it a 7 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10, actually.
Oh, well, okay. I stand corrected on that.
Yeah.
Go watch this film, please. Don't listen to Andy. It's good.
Don't listen to me ever. I'm just an idiot.
I didn't mean it like that.
Moving on. Jared's pick. Almost forgot. Speaking of Alien, we've had Alien. Now it's time for Predator.
Ooh.
Predator from 1987. I think. Let me Google that.
Wait, Predator or Alien versus Predator?
Predator from 1987.
Okay.
Directed by John McTiernan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and one guy that we like, Jesse the Body Ventura.
I gotta be honest, I'm looking forward to watching this just because I have not watched this since I was a kid.
It is on YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, Vudu, Amazon, $3.99. It's on Philo if you have a subscription to that.
God, I haven't watched I don't even remember the last time I watched Predator.
Well, we had I I think it's funny. I don't know why I thought it was funny. Like, I look at sometimes film clubs and like cycles from our picks. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's like usually never like a cycle that makes sense. Like for some reason, my brain I look at them that way though. So this cycle, I picked like the most loner movie ever. You picked a romance movie, and then the fans picked the most dude bro action packed Jack dude movie ever.
I know, right? Yeah, it is. It is definitely a little bit of a weird. It's kind of jarring, honestly, but I like it. I'm looking forward to watching Predator on. I guess I'll probably watch it.
Well, Alex is not here. He lagged, so you didn't hear him. He's probably gonna watch it on Vudu. He's probably gonna say he's gonna buy it for whatever it's priced on Vudu for. But Alex has lagged for quite a while. I may have to cut this.
I lagged out.
Yeah, I know. I was talking. We're gonna cut that bit out, but
Oh, okay, cool. Cut it out.
moving on to sports. I told them I said while you're gone, I was like, Alex probably gonna say he's gonna buy it on Vudu for whatever price is on Vudu.
I probably will because I'm gonna watch it in 4K because when I watched it, it was the full screen version on basically broadcast TV, which is panned and scanned on VHS. So there you go.
I guess I'll also maybe check this out. Both Alien versus Predator movies, which I probably won't watch, but who knows? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
If it's any better than Aliens, it's gonna be a great time. God,
Yeah.
what a... I'm on an island in my hatred of the aliens, I feel like.
I don't know.
Movie's garbage. Moving on to sports. NFL draft happened. Alexander, what'd you think about the NFL draft, and more specifically, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I like the Bucks draft. I really like how they got what they needed. They got a good O-line guy in the first round. They got a running back in the third round. They got hopefully a guy that can contribute as a third wide receiver later on in the draft. I know some people wanted the Bucks to maybe take a quarterback for the future. I just don't think that's a smart move when you got
Blaine Gabbert?
Well, no, but when you got Tom Brady signed to 2 years, you don't want thinking that he might get benched. That's probably not a good look. So overall, I like the Bucks draft. I thought the Joe Burrow going first overall, good pick. Miami going with Tua, I thought was a little bit of a risk. Personally, would have gone Herbert. Really like the Jaguars draft. They got a really good player in C.J. Henderson. Some really interesting picks. Jalen Hurts to Philly. I really want to know more about that. I really want to know more about Jake Fromm going where he went.
Buffalo.
Yeah, that's kind of a interesting situation. But then again, if I'm in the 5th round and I'm Buffalo, Jake Fromm looks pretty appetizing. So can't blame him for taking the guy. I mean, maybe you trade him later on for some draft considerations for the next draft. I don't know. But really interesting draft. I thought that ESPN, NFL Network, and some others, I know they all kind of broadcast it individually. I watched on ESPN. I thought they did a good job, making the best of a situation where they couldn't have a draft as they originally intended I think it was originally set for Las Vegas, right? So
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think it was set in Las Vegas originally, but they had to cancel it. So I feel like the broadcast was fun and a lot of fun moments that we'll kind of always remember forever, especially with players' girlfriends. So fun draft. Hopefully next year's better. Hopefully we're not still in quarantine next year.
Go back to Draft City, Chicago. Best drafts happen in Chicago.
You're probably right. Andy, how do you feel about the draft?
Well, this is the least interested I've ever been into an NFL draft. I only watched half of day one live. I pay attention to the picks on ESPN.com. And then going to day 2, 3, and 4, 5. Day 2, 3, 4. Going to rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. I wasn't really paying attention at all. you could argue due to the fact that the 49ers didn't have any picks outside the first round. I don't know. I just didn't find that much interest. Like, I think since like 2013, I watched the draft every day. I don't know why I wasn't interested this year. Couldn't tell you. But 49ers draft, spectacular. We got Javon Kinlaw to replace DeForest Buckner in the first round. Absolute monster. He's a gamecock.
Mm-hmm.
We got Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver. It was Kyle Shanahan's number 1 wide receiver in the draft. We got him at pick 25. And then our second round pick, we got D Ford via trade. Our third and fourth round pick, we got Emmanuel Sanders. And then our fifth round pick, we got Trent Williams. One of the greatest trades ever. Not really, but I'll explain later. And then we drafted an offensive lineman. We drafted Juwan Jennings. He was super. We got him in the 7th round, and he was ranked PFF's 70th best player. Just an absolute steal, according to everyone on Twitter. But the Trent Williams trade, I have to mention it. Joe Staley retiring. Super sad. He's just been a guy that's always been there when I've been a 49ers fan. He was there for when we're good. He's there for when we're bad. He's just always been there. He's a fun player to watch in the field. And it's sad to see him go, but replacing him with Trent Williams, that's not that bad. You could argue the best left tackle in the league. He didn't play last year, but 2 previous years before that, he was an absolute monster. And if you look at the trade more in depth, we gave them a 3rd and a 5th for Trent Williams. If we don't re-sign him, in which I don't think we are going to re-sign him just because we don't have the money, we'll get a comp pick back, a 3rd-round comp pick back. So we got Trent Williams on a 1-year rental for a 5th. And if we win the Super Bowl, it's like the Aroldis Chapman trade to the Cubs. They got Aroldis Chapman on 1-year rental, won the World Series. That's what I was trying to do with Trent Williams. And it's not bad. You're not really risking much to do it, which the Cubs risked Gleyber Torres for if you want to know. But yeah, great. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, me too.
And then the Bucks, the trade between our teams in 13-14 pick, the Bucks kind of were ahead on the news that Joe Staley was going to retire. At least they were thinking it. So they kind of forced their hand to make that trade because they thought we were going to pick Wirfs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a good trade. And I mean, I'm hoping that we get a season. I really hope we get a season. That's all I can say about the NFL right now.
What if we get the season delayed and then Tom Brady's like, oh, I'm done with football? How mad would you be?
I wouldn't be that mad.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just feel like now the way everything's going, not to derail the sports segment of the show, but I just feel like the way everything's going right now, all I care about is that everyone in the working class in this country, I don't care about rich people losing a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Because those rich people will be fine. I hate to be like that, because if I was a rich person, I wouldn't want to lose money. Who would? I get that. But I worry about the working class of this country. I worry about the poor working class of this country even more. And I really worry about more than both of those, which is at a very high level. I worry about the people that live off of government assistance. As much as we like to look down on them, and as much as sometimes I can even be critical of those people that strictly live off of government assistance, I do worry for them the most in times like this. And I just hope that all of this goes away eventually and things do go back to some level of normalcy, even if that means that we're all wearing hazmat suits out in public. I don't know what the future holds.
Bubble Boy.
Yeah, Bubble Boy, another great Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Or a Seinfeld episode.
Oh yeah. A lot of people didn't watch the Jake Gyllenhaal Bubble Boy movie. It was a commercial failure, but it's actually pretty funny and it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. But yeah, I just hope everything just kind of goes back to normal. And I think part of going back to normal, and I know this is kind of a critical thing to say, a lot of people don't like people saying this, but I think the NFL having a normal NFL season would restore Americans, not internationally, but Americans' faith in things going back to normal. So I do hope that we get a season, if only for that reason.
3 things I care about is hustle, loyalty, and respect. That's been episode
Oh
78.
my
Alex Tander in the show.
Okay, yeah, man. That was episode 78. As always, t-shirt link in the description. If you buy one of those, we get like $4 to $6. In addition, you go to patreon.com/DCD podcast. You can support the podcast for as little as $1 a month. Want to thank all our current Patreon backers, Dumbest Sphinx and Egg tier. And then we got Bobby, Jared, and Daniel in the gold tiers. So, and there's also an Andy tier out there, but nobody currently in that one since Bobby went to the gold tier, but not going to complain about that. But you can go to patreon.com/DCD podcast, see all the tiers, all the perks. Main ones are you get early access and increased audio fidelity for as little as $1 a month. So does help us out there. And if you can't support us monetarily, you can always do a few things to help us out for free. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can leave us an iTunes review, and you can tell a friend about the show. And you go to deadchannelduo.com, and it'll show you almost all of the locations that we're out there on, but basically all the big ones right there at the top. Andy, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No.
All right. That's been DCD 78. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
That's been my 15 minutes. Good night, everybody.